While America was decorating for the holidays, stringing lights, shopping for gifts, gathering with family, something else was quietly moving forward in Washington. Few headlines, no public debate, no warning bells, just closed-door meetings, rule changes, legislation, and executive action, all aimed at one thing: ending local control as we know it. In November and December 2025, three branches of federal power began moving in parallel. The Federal Communications Commission advanced sweeping proposed rule changes, FCC Docket 25-276, rules that would allow Washington to override local decision-making on where cell towers and antennas are placed, cutting residents out of the process and weakening protections for neighborhoods, historic districts, and cultural sites. Congress introduced a slate of bills mirroring the FCC rule changes by introducing H.R. 2289, American Broadband Act of 2025, designed to speed up wireless construction by stripping states and cities of the ability to review, delay, or stop projects in their own communities. And the White House, with the stroke of a pen, asserted federal supremacy over artificial intelligence policy, directing agencies to challenge state laws and replace local standards with a single national framework. Different sectors, same playbook.
We're modernizing permitting rules and cutting red tape. We're freeing up the airwaves that are necessary for America to lead the world again. We now have a massive new spectrum pipeline. In fact, the FCC just voted on a proposal to auction up to 180 megahertz in the upper C-band. The FCC is now pursuing the largest deregulatory effort in the agency's history. To date, we've teed up for removal over 1,000 rules or regulations and terminated a record 2,000 inactive proceedings. Eliminating those costly regulations is part of our affordability work, too.
These federal moves to destroy local government as we know it did not go unnoticed. In a small town in Northern California, residents became aware of what Washington was doing, not during a crisis, but during Christmas. They understood something many Americans have not yet been told, that decisions affecting neighborhoods, schools, homes, and public right-of-ways were being pulled out of local hands and consolidated far away. So they gathered, not to shout, not to disrupt, but to be seen. For nearly 30 years, federal law has prevented local governments from considering biological and environmental harm related to wireless infrastructure. That restriction, Section 704 of the 1996 Telecommunications Act, was built on outdated science from the 1970s and 80s, examining older technologies and a narrow range of frequencies that failed to reflect today's wireless reality. In 2021, a federal court ruled that the FCC's refusal to update its safety standards was arbitrary and unlawful. Yet, the agency did not comply. Instead, it doubled down. That silence, imposed by law, was made visible in this little town in Northern California.
My name is Jackie Wiles. Tonight's silent room represents 3 decades of silencing local government, a silencing written into federal law.
3 speakers spoke, not just for themselves, but for communities across the country. They spoke about law, about governance, about what happens when agencies ignore court orders and Congress moves to shield that defiance. Then, the room fell silent. No chance, no confrontation, just a shared understanding. Local government, once the steward of community well-being, has been reduced to a spectator. This is not incremental policy change. It is a coup d'etat carried out in plain sight, not with force of arms, but through procedural erosion, agency overreach, and legislative coordination. If these actions move forward, American communities will face the unfettered proliferation of cell towers and antennas, placed wherever industry deems convenient, regardless of scale, proximity, or impact. Schools, neighborhoods, churches, historic districts, farms, and wildlife corridors. Projects would advance with no notice, no meaningful public input, and no consideration of children, environmental sensitivity, or cumulative harm. And once built, there would be no recourse. Communities would lose the ability to appeal, to litigate, or to protect themselves through their elected representatives. This does not just benefit the telecommunications industry, it establishes a template for all major industries to bypass local oversight. What is being proposed is not modernization. It is the dismantling of local self-determination. This moment does not belong to one town. It belongs to every community that still believes decisions should be made close to home. What can you do? Press the FCC to comply with the court. Oppose FCC Docket 25-276. Demand real oversight from Congress. Defend local decision-making authority. Because once these rules are locked in, the decisions are no longer yours. This is how communities stop belonging to the people who live in them.